My name is Ann Bookout, and I'm the 20th Regent of the Mount Vernon Ladies Association. There were a number of leather-bound books that were presented to the founding leaders. Washington was given 7 of these books as acts of Congress. There were only 2 that were embossed in gold with the word President on the front. This is the only one that he ever wrote in the margins of.
Well, my name's Carol Cadieux, and I serve as the Robert H. Smith Senior Curator and Vice President of Collections here at Mount Vernon. The Acts of Congress has had a remarkable journey, and it is truly awe-inspiring to think of the fact that it is today in pristine condition and still so beautifully bound, just as it was in the 18th century, despite its remarkable journey. In this book, we see Washington and his colleagues really putting into printed form those concepts that they have been struggling with over the Constitutional Convention, trying to figure out exactly the shape of the new nation. They all realized that they were setting precedents to be followed.
Well, the Ladies Association didn't know that the book was going to auction until after the catalog had already gone to print.
And we have come now to a very proud moment. We are selling George Washington's personal copy of the Acts of Congress. $3 million now, $3,200,000, lots of paddles. At $3,200,000 now, several paddles, $3,500,000 back to Paul.
And I was able to join the bidding after the first round of fast and furious bidding, but that was already at $5 million when I got in. And it continued on until finally there were 2 bidders in the room.
Then selling for $8,700,000. And that goes to Mount Vernon.
George Washington is very, very exacting with his books, and we see that he takes great care of them. He has them in beautiful glass-fronted shelves in his personal library at Mount Vernon. This volume, I think, was probably pretty special to him because it has both his engraved bookplate, his signature on the title page, but what is even more distinctive and more unusual is that Washington makes notes in the margin, and we almost never see Washington writing any marginalia. In several places, he very carefully brackets his powers and his role as president. We see him, for instance, in Article 1 of the Constitution here, bracketing and writing the words president next to those duties that he is to follow and how he is to follow the enacting of legislation, how you have bills that are ratified by Congress in the House of Representatives and in the Senate and then sent on to George Washington as president for either approval or veto. And then again in Article 2, you see him bracketing not only putting president, but also powers, which is an interesting word that he uses. And it shows the powers that he has to appoint justices to the Supreme Court, to ratify treaties, to appoint ambassadors. He didn't mark uniformly everything that he was supposed to do as president, but what's interesting is that in one bracket he does note required. And I think this is very telling because it's really Washington noting what he absolutely must not forget to do. And that addresses the, what we would call today sort of the State of the Union address.
George Washington wrote to a friend 2 years before he died. He said, "I have not houses to build except one to house my manuscripts, papers, and books, which are voluminous and may be of interest." So we are, after 200 years, building that library and bringing home the Acts of Congress where it belongs.